Welcome to Combat Phase.
Episode 231.
This is Wargamer Shawn.
This is Kenny.
And we're welcoming you.
We're trying this ping pong back and forth thing.
I guess Kenny doesn't like it that way.
It's a little weird, but we'll work it out. We'll get a rhythm down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we got a rhythm down.
Tonight.
I'm going to bend you over.
On tonight's show. See how we do like the whole... There's this, what is it, Sons of Heresy show. It's out of the UK. And when he opens it up, he does like the Top Gear thing, or sorry, now it's the Grand Tour, and he does it open as like tonight on this week's show, and he like goes through what happens to each of the guests, and it's really awesome. But like his voice works well for that, and we couldn't do that, so I was gonna do something about like, oh, it's on tonight's show, but it doesn't really work out that well. So
this is Walter Cronkite.
We'll still have to get down the whole reading of the regimental standard at some point, but
there was a nice regimental standard today.
I haven't had a chance to read it. I saw that it's there.
It was hilarious. It was talking about know your inquisitor and what to and how to treat them. But one of them was really cool because one of them on the Ordo Malleys, they're like, it's a very small, insignificant one. Just don't worry about it and don't think about what they do. And then one of them was like the Order Kronos, the time one. It's like, that order doesn't exist. And if you do find yourself talking to one, don't do anything to like hurt the past unless your father's a traitor, and then kill him. It was like,
all those people.
Yeah, whoever writes those, they do a great job. They're really funny, I think. And the Order Hereticus was, they're the most devout, and they're there to help you and help the inside. It was really good. It was a very good propaganda piece. I loved it.
Yeah, I love that stuff. We'll have to do something with the voices one day for that.
Yeah,
it'd be kind of fun, our own little imperial propaganda.
I can put on the bacon. No, not that one.
Nope. But for tonight,
yeah.
So
it's not tonight.
For this week, Ian St. Martin from Black Library is back on. So we promised you a bunch of Black Library shows. We'll be recording we actually have a lot of interviews that we have started to record. We'll be recording over the next few weeks, and we'll be piecing out over the next several months. So we're going to try and keep to maybe every other week. Sometimes it'll be 2 weeks in a row. It's fine. Giving you a small, brief interview. But I think tonight we're just going to play the entire one for Ian St. Martin.
So you're giving people your briefs?
Well, there was the whole like copyright issue with that when I tried to do.
Well, there was, but nobody wants to see your tidy whities, especially the skid marks.
Do people still have tidy whities?
I bet. I mean, I think they're. I don't know. I don't wear tidy whities, but I mean, I imagine they still do. Fruit of the Loom's got to do something, right?
I guess so. Someone's got to eat. All right, so Ian St. Martin's going to join us tonight to talk about his...
Nice avoiding the question.
Right. His most recent work is A Lesson in Darkness. So it's the Primarch audio drama that came out in the Advent. It's about Conrad Kurz. So we're going to talk about that, as well as some discussion, of course, about Lucius and books he has coming up. So you can enjoy that at the end of the show. But first...
But first?
We
you go butt first?
But first.
I prefer to go head first. I mean, that's just me, but
just don't ever go ass to mouth.
Yeah. Well, sometimes in the passion, heat of the moment, it's okay. It's a forgivable thing.
I don't have my thing. I have to open up the page. Warhammer Community.
Kenny's kerfuffled.
My window closed. All right. News. Do you have any news to start us off while I look up what's going on?
While you frantically search. Well, we did see the regimental standard we just talked about, and they did some more information. They sent out about Thousand Sons. I think they did a Magnus one.
Yeah, Eddie did a
Magnus one yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago.
That's right, yeah. He done some Zanglorious ones.
Yes, some very good Zanglorious ones. And I'm trying to think. Well, obviously the Horus Heresy Weekender and the and Necromunda was this last weekend.
Yeah, so there's a lot of news that came out. So there's a post you can go to on Warhammer Community, but they showed us actually way more than I thought. So we got to see a bunch of book covers, and that stuff's always great. A bunch of new models for both Necromunda and Heresy.
You have Valdor.
We have Valdor. Yep. We got to see Rogodoran. Valdor there and on sale, and that model just that's so much more of a scenic base I guess, than I was expecting. I mean, I guess he's a big dude. You have to kind of make a big deal out of it. But for a character series, they did a beautiful job.
Yeah, I'm not quite sold on his head. I think that I imagined it differently, I guess. But I think the rest of the model is phenomenal, actually. So is Dorn, actually, I think.
But what was maybe one of the biggest things for the heresy side of that? So we got to see that really awesome. I think he's a Dark Mechanicus priest. And he's the guy, I can't remember the name of the guy. He's got all like the little tentacles and everything coming out of him. He's a pretty awesome model because this picture is also in one of the Heresy books. But I'm pretty happy with Alpharius.
Yeah, I liked the armor. I thought it looked like they always kind of described it in the book. I thought that they did a good job. I agree. I liked Alpharius.
And it seems like they're going to be working with alternate bases to do the diorama, right? So kind of like we had with Russ and Magnus and with Fulgrim and Ferris, where they have their own, but then they have a joint diorama base where you have them battling each other. Do
you think it'll be Dorn and Alpharius, or do you think it's going to be...
No, I think they actually said that there.
Oh, it is going to be Dorn? Okay.
Because Dorn is now available, or people could get it there, and Alpharius is the next one, and then so... Those two having that really famous fight on the cover of the Praetorian of Dorn novel.
Right.
So it looks like that's what they're doing, is they're creating that.
Because it was kind of covered up. I thought, everybody else is like, oh, no, it's Gilliman who killed Alpharius. The general public, that's what they think.
Well, yeah, but I think anyone in the Heresies, or if somebody's read the books, then
I guess they would know.
They get the idea.
Yeah.
Let's see. So more of a rumor engine that came out. Oh. We didn't talk about the squat clock last time, did we?
Oh, no.
I think that happened just after the show.
I think it happened. That was an amazing video. They had a video that came up that... Who was it? It was Duncan.
Duncan and... I can't remember the other guy.
But he's like, oh, God, it's time to reset the clock. And he goes to Duncan, he goes, it's time. And he goes, for what? Reset the clock. He's like, which one? You know which one. And then they reset it, and you see Plastic Sisters, Plastic, was a Stormbird? Thunderhawk. And then Squats. And then they reset it, and then it falls down and shatters. And then they go into a Necromunda bounty hunter that's basically a Squat, which was... It was a great video, first of all, and a great way to bring Squats back into it. And it was just all around. It was one of the best videos. Oh, excuse me, that I've ever seen. That was terrible. I started laughing, and I had to pull Kenny right away and show him the video because it was freaking amazing.
Yeah, it was a great video. I mean, they showed more of the Squat painted himself. The model in resin is up on their page, on Warhammer Community's page, and then you can look at it painted from the pictures that they had there from the seminar, or from the Weekender. But yeah, I mean, just as far as the artwork, the models, the sheer amount of stuff, because I was kind of worried about, if they're taking it and pairing it with Necromunda, is it going to be slim on both sides? Is that why they're pairing it together? And I was really impressed with the amount of stuff we got out of there. So there's just a lot. They're
going to do Madonna again.
They have
or Belladonna. Sorry, Belladonna.
Yeah, there's a land speeder thing that came out for Heresy. There's what is this here? The
siege drill thing.
Terramite assault drill.
Yep.
Solar Mechanicum video.
Go back up.
Solar Mechanicus.
Go back up. There was more. Yeah. See, there's Madonna and the different
for the houses.
Yeah. Each house is going to have a special.
Orlok is on. So yeah, this coming weekend, Orlok is one of the pre-sales coming up on Saturday. Yeah.
Which they, by the way, look amazing. But Orlok is my favorite gang, so I'm a little biased, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Squat Miner Guild for me, but for current Necromunda, I'll be doing the Orloks. We got to see new Salamanders and Alpha Legion, and I thought there was one more. Salamanders, Alpha Legion,
Rhino Doors.
Maybe it was just those two.
Or
it is just those two. Yeah. The different doors. Here's that guy that we're talking about. What is this? Arc. Let's see. Magos, Dominus, Anarchus. Oh, Scoria. Okay. This guy here. Look at this thing.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Oh my
big
god,
dude.
I still want that model. That is beautiful.
And more versions of the different, the Mechanicus Knights, the Castus Knights.
The smaller ones.
So those guys.
Yeah.
And then another version of the Boromite that actually drills down in. So it's like the missile on the landing tracks, and then it can actually come up and sort of like
The Imperial Mole, for those of you that have been in the game long enough, there was a model in Epic that you could play and actually have some of those models, and it was pretty epic. Anyway, I'm glad they're bringing it to like a 30K kind of equivalent model, so I'm pretty excited about that. Anybody that's been in the hobby a long time will remember what the models look like, and they look pretty similar. They're just bigger, more detail.
Yeah, we have our rumor engine of the week this time. Oh, that's just what's going on in Warhammer Weekly. The rumor engine looks kind of like some chainmail underneath the garb, so...
you know what I'm thinking?
It could work for a lot of things.
I think it's the Hobbit that... one of the ring wraiths or something because they're coming out with that model.
Yeah, there's 3 new Nazgul. So there's so far now 6 of 9 that are out for Forge World that are for pre-order or already available to order. So it could be, I don't know, I mean, with Malign Portents coming out now, I mean, the book that's out on pre-order now, or will be a pre-order on Saturday with, no, that's already out.
It's already out.
On pre-order.
Yeah, there's pre-order special characters, too.
Yeah, the 4 Heralds are in there, and then you have the Skullbane Mance's back, so that I'm super excited about that. Yeah, I mean, the sheer amount of stuff, I think the price points have been pretty good, too. So, I mean, that stuff is already out right now on pre-order, and then coming up this weekend, we have the Orlocks. We have 2 warbands.
2 warbands for,
So one is the Skaven for Shadespire, which is neat. The Skaven are kind of neat.
You just shut your mouth.
I mean, they're pretty cool.
They're awesome.
But they pale in comparison to the Fire
Slayers.
No. Those 4 models. And it's 4 new... Because I said I get like 3 sets. I get like 1 to play in Shadespire, 1... And I'll definitely get the dice and the cards. I haven't bought the sleeves for any of the factions yet, but I'll be buying the sleeves for those. Then another set to do Inspired. And they actually give you this nice article. They tell you about how to play the Fire Slayers. And there's one today about the Skaven in different ways and how to get the best of becoming inspired and like the tactics. Because the Fire Slayers is... you get there by defending objectives, but there are cards that you can play that play kind of like they do in Age of Sigmar on the table, with like getting extra attack or moving really fast, or shrugging off damage, like a version of a hair save. So those kind of neat. And then they're giving you 2 sets of rules actually for the table. So I think that's pretty awesome because like you can always play any of the Shadespire bands. They always give you the rules to play them as those characters in AOS, so they give you those scrolls. But they actually talked about having like another Runefather model and how you could play these guys not necessarily as them or not as the entire warband, but just a new Runefather. So I love that model with a big rune axe like over the back of his head, his shoulders. I know some people think it's static, but we only have 1 model. So for Fire Slayers, any new model I'll be happy with. So I may have to buy 4 of this box now. Actually,
fanboy.
Probably. Oh yeah.
I will be buying one too because I collect all of them, but I won't be buying multiple boxes. But the Skaven, I'm actually pretty excited about. I like the rat people, so.
Rat bastard. Yeah, I'm really, really, really excited about. Actually, they should be really cool on both of them.
I think so. It'll add something to the game too.
And then since we talk about Black Library as well, we had more books that came up. An article today, and now since they've been doing the Coming Soon, we get a chance to look and see what's coming up in May. And so there's some stuff at the Weekender.
Isn't there Ross fighting horse?
Yeah, Wolfsbane. So Guy Haley's book. So people could already get this, which was kind of neat. Oh, over the weekend, so The Burden of Loyalty came out, which was another Heresy compilation, and I have all those, but I definitely that's get on audio because I really want to listen to Wolfgang. Like I read it when it came out as an ebook only when I was in Sweden, and I've been like jonesing to read that again, but I have too many books I'm trying to read, so I was trying to like listen to it. So then I saw it's coming out in that, so it's actually out right now. You can get that MP3.
You're talking about the audio for?
Yeah, so it's but for the compilation, Burn of Loyalty, so that's out. But so we have Wolfsbane. There's the Jagatai Khan book that we knew for the Primarchs. Then there is one for Vulcan that's going to be a special edition. Yeah, so lots of good stuff here.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It was I guess what you said. Finally the second Black Shield. So Josh Reynolds, his follow up to the False War. There's a really cool audio drama. It's very different. I think a Heresy fan would enjoy it because it's something different. As far as like a world. I don't want to spoil too much. The artwork's awesome on the front, but it's definitely different from like a Dark Compliance or Lightning Tower. So I mean, it's a different type of story that we haven't had told before. David Geimer had talked to us. I think it was right around Christmas before you joined me that I played the interview with him. But he talks about The Voice of Mars, which is the sequel to the Eye of Medusa, the Iron Hands 40K book.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one, actually.
And David Andale recently talked.
When did that one come out? Is that this weekend?
These are May.
Oh, May. Okay.
And then of course Neferata, Mortarch of Blood, and everything. So we have David Andale, whose audio I have to. Oh shit, I haven't played that yet. See, we do have a lot of audio, so you might be getting something every week, or maybe every other week in these smaller segments. I gotta make a note to play that too. All right, but you're gonna get Ian St. Martin because we've already said it, so that's what's gonna be going on this week. But it's actually pretty cool though, because now they've announced the Neferata thing, so that'll be neat. That we'll be able to put that up next week, and then you can actually hear him talking about that. And War of Vengeance. So this was a show I did a while ago with all three authors on talking about this. First is from Time of Legends of the fantasy world, and just like they've been doing with these other books that look just like this, and like the Vampire Wars, they've been putting them together in the Warhammer stores or the GW stores with this. I think they're like $20 or something for these omnibus. For an omnibus, which I think is still a really good deal.
Yeah, for an omnibus.
Cost-wise, and they're always nice and pretty, and you get a nice little intro on something from the authors. So, yeah, I mean, they're just stepping it up. And we don't have any more news about February 24th, about Black Library Day. So we still know that you'll be able to play Eisenhorn on the table, but we don't really have much more. But I think in Twitch this week, they're going to be talking a little bit more about that at the end of the week if you're a Warhammer Twitch subscriber. Is that news? Importance. So. Yeah, I think we covered, and there's a whole bunch of news that came out. So if you want to go, you can just check out Warhammer Community's blog. Or your preferred, if you like to go to Battle Bunnies or whatever, or forums or whatever like news aggregator site you like to find out reports and stuff that came from the Weekender. Because I gotta admit, it was way more than I expected. So it's pretty excited actually.
Yeah, I agree. I was kind of thinking along your lines if they were doing both Necromunda and Black Library that it was going to be less of them, but I agree. They certainly didn't seem to be that way.
Greg Dan did a neat show on the Imperial Truth, and he talked about his. They were talking about stuff going up to the Weekender, so you can check that show out as well. So, okay, I think that's news. How about hobby and games played? So, I think our only game played was against each other. Yes,
it's true.
That's true. Do you want to talk about your hobby? Because you did more hobby than I did.
Did I do more? Well, our one campaign is kind of fizzling a little bit, unfortunately, and so just for lack of getting games. So my interest in continuing to paint my AdMech has gone down a little bit, and so I really started putting together a bunch of stuff for Thousand Suns because I was excited because a new codex came out, and so I put together 40 Zangors and 6 Zangor Enlightened, Zangor Shaman, and actually I have another one, but I'm going to put what's the model from that tower, Silver Tower game that we're both going to put Ogroid Thaumaturge. Yeah, I'm going to put him on a disc because I want to make him. I have a name for him and everything, and then I put together a Vortex this is hard for me to say. Mutalith Vortex Beast. He cut me a few times, and that model is a pain in the butt to put together. But I did put it together, and then I did. I think that might have been it for putting stuff together. I primed I have 15 of the Occult Scarab Terminators together, and I sprayed those, and I sprayed a Dreadnought that's going to be all close combat, so he's got the flail and a fist. And then I'm trying to decide what I want to do with my conversion for the Mauler Fiend. I have on there right now the Magma Pistols. Yeah, and it's a Tomb King's model. But I was thinking about putting the something on there for the flails, but I think the tail kind of fits it, so I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not. But I haven't started painting him yet, but he's my next project. Awesome. So I think that's all. As far as reading, I finished and I started reading Dark Imperium, and I finished what's the Angels Exterminatus, I think.
Angels Exterminatus, yeah.
Or did I talk about that last time? I'm not sure.
I think last time you were just about to finish it.
I did finish,
or you had just finished it.
Yeah. And I'm on Dark Imperium now, so I'm always reading something for for 40k or heresy, but that's what I'm kind of sinking my teeth into right now.
You did more than me. I mean, I just got some more Thousand Suns painted, but when I did bring them to the table, I had the 3 aspiring sorcerers from the 3 Inexit rubrics. That was actually kind of neat to have them on the table, and they're basically done as far the basing on the army is not done. So I had an idea for basing. I had this Warlock purple, which I think is kind of close to Screamer pink now, and I hope to do this metallic kind of iridescent, and then sprinkle this. I got this crushed glass like a couple months ago from Secret Miniatures, and I was going to put it on, and when I did a few test models, it looked just absolutely terrible. It looked kind of like just sprinkling sand on top of it. So it needs some kind of, because I wanted them to come from like Tisca and the Planet of the Sorcerers, and I wanted to have like some of that carried with on their base. So it didn't work. So what I need to do is kind of like is find. I don't really think a Grelin Earth is what I need, but I need some kind of cracked paint texture or something. Now we got to see a new one Friday, so I can't remember what the name of the company is, but
our local store, Steve actually showed it to us from Pegasus.
Yeah, I just can't think what the company is called.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out. We'll tell you.
I apologize because I actually have it. I bought one of them.
And
and I don't remember it. Isn't that sad?
So yeah, that might be a good solution to put there, and then once that's finally ready, to put some of the crushed glass on there, because that's still. I know the crushed glass will still help me. Just putting it straight on just didn't do it. Like it looked too funny.
I was talking to Steve about that because I do a lot of snow basing, and I'm actually using the crushed glass and mixing it with a water effect to make a slush. So I'll kind of keep you posted on that too. That's how I'm going to use my crushed glass. So
very nice.
And then we had a game. It was Magnus Smackdown against Ahriman. And it was fun. We didn't get through very many turns, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a bummer. We got through 2 turns. This guy talks a lot. Like, we're trying to play a game, and he's blah, 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 blah all the time.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, I can't help it. I'm popular. People are coming and talking.
We had one guy that came and talked to me.
No, we had people. We had a friend of ours came, and then the store owner kept coming and chat with. I think he was kind of excited about the game.
Yeah, Thousand Suns are playing.
Yeah. But it was fun. We had a showdown. Unfortunately, the Zangors realized, you know what? It's Magnus. We better not mess with him. And so they failed their charge, even with a reroll. And so Ahriman and Magnus had a little smackdown. And Ahriman
almost survived. Actually.
Almost, but he got a lesson taught to him. He was like, Big Daddy's going to...
If I just made one more invuln save, he would have been okay.
I'm just saying, he was like, hey, Daddy's going to teach you a lesson.
Yeah,
don't undo that rubric, boy.
It was a pretty fun game. We both played with some different toys, and we both had. So we did a Maelstrom Mister. So we used the cards that are in the data card set for Thousand Suns. So we had picked them up and opened them like right then and there. That was it. We were laying stuff out on the table and drawing our cards, and we played just a basic mission. And it was a lot of fun because we had stuff at the beginning that was really hard, and I had to make some interesting choices based around really
life choices.
Yeah, these long shots of I need to try and get that guy and that guy. But I was doing what I hear other podcasts talk about too when they do their Thousand Sun reviews. Well, okay, so it's one podcast. I've only had one podcast talk about this. But the things it was interesting in the playing is I had to think okay, so my Scarab to Cult Terminators are going to come over here. So I have a feint on this side, and I need my Terminator. We both had a Terminator Sorcerer Lord and Terminator. So he had to come in because he had the Warp Time spell. So he had to come in at a certain point. So I had to move my guys and line them up so I could get to the end of the movement phase and then bring my guys in. So I didn't have to stop the game and start all over because I broke the rules.
I was running Magnus. I don't want to do that. I was running Magnus and a Defiler because I wanted to run a Defiler and a Mauler Fiend and a couple Demon Princes and then I ran some Cultists actually because I didn't have my Zangors together, and I thought the Cultists did pretty well for what the one squad, even though it died, it did exactly what I wanted it to do, and I ran a Helldrake which also did exactly what I wanted it to do. That he devoted a lot of attention to it because you can't just let it run rampant in your backfield, but he killed a squad of.
He killed the Chaos Spawn.
Chaos Spawn. He damaged a Sorcerer, but he ran away like a little pussy, and then
that guy died.
Oh, did he die?
Yeah, that guy died. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got to go. I interrupted before your Hellbrute
punked
him, but he didn't quite kill him. And then
fucking hell brute.
He was down to 1 wound, and I used Magnus to heal him the D3 wounds. So he was back up to 4, which put him up another profile. I'm like, woo!
Yeah,
and
that poor hell brute just couldn't. Yeah, he couldn't do much. I was saving my points for this, because I guess this was the thing, right? All of a sudden, there's like we have all these new tools, these new objectives and stratagems.
Yeah.
Like, shit, I only have so many command points. Like, I want to try this and this and this and this, but you can only do so much in one game.
I think Thousand Sons players are going to struggle with it because we're such an elite army. We're not going to have a lot of command points, and so I think it's going to be hard to do the choosy thing. And I kind of blew through mine pretty quick, and you did too. Well, not as fast as
I mean, I saved some for some scenarios, I'd hope, but then the game ended after turn 2, which it would have gone a little bit different, I think, because I would have saved points. Like when I got to turn 2, I'm like, okay, I know I'm not going to have another turn, so I'm going to do this, this, and this. Really may not have burned through them really quick, but I feel like it's going to take Thousand Sons players a while to try all these different tricks in different games.
I did use, but I never got a chance to use it. I did pay a command point to put the Warflame Gargoyles on my Mauler Fiend, but my Mauler Fiend got his ass kicked before he even got a chance to go. So I don't know how that works because I didn't get a chance to use it. But
well, we definitely had some mobility going too because we both had warp time and we both had Scarecrow Cult Terminators, and where you had to move and get objectives. I felt like the army was way more mobile than it had ever been before. Like it felt easier to zip around between the sorcerers on discs and the spells.
Well, yeah, the webway insertion. I use that to bring my cultists in, and Magnus is pretty flighty, and so is the Helldrake, the Demon Princes are pretty fast, to 12 inches.
Yeah, they are.
And my Mauler Fiend's 10. They slowed him down a little bit, unfortunately. But he's still pretty good. And my Defiler is... I mean, if you're playing competitive, you're not going to run Defiler. But, I since, like, 3rd edition, had a Thousand Sun Defiler. And goddamn it, I was going to play it. And I still am going to I'll probably play it at your event. But I just wanted to play him, and he was fun. He wasn't good.
Well, it wasn't horrible. I think I killed him, and
No, you didn't kill my Defiler. You killed.
No, I killed the Mauler Fiend, and I killed something else. I think it might have been the Demon Prince or something else. They both died by being next to Perils.
Yes.
Yeah, so my guy's Perils exploded and it like took out.
You killed my Sorcerer Terminator. He only had 1 wound left.
That's right. He died.
Him, and you almost killed my Demon Prince too.
He was down to like 1 wound.
Yeah, that was pretty freaking epic. It was awesome.
I very much big a fan of the. So that the Peril wasn't exploding, but there's a stratagem, and I had the card put over by the table just in case I wanted to use it, but I forgot the one time when you killed the 1 unit of Rubrics on the far side. But I wanted to, you can do wounds to people around you. So if you get kind of mobbed and your sorcerers, your Spiring Sorcerers, or your Scarecrow Cult Terminators, if they die, there's like a 1 point command. There's a 1 command point thing, a stratagem where you can do mortal wounds.
I got lucky too. My Mauler Fiend did blow up and did hurt you too.
Yeah,
his Terminators killed my Mauler Fiend, but damn it,
it was an exploding game.
It exploded. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, I wish we had more time, but it was a lot of fun to see. And the cool thing is that we were both playing Thousand Sons, so no matter what or who was playing, we got to see something new from the Codex because
we're kind of window shopping a little bit. He's like, well, I'm going to bring Magnus, and I'll bring Armin, and we get to see how they do. And I definitely think that the army felt really different for me. I felt like it played better. I felt like I had more options, and I really appreciated.
And for you listeners out there, by the way, I did not run any Zangors in my list, and it was 2,500 points for both of us, and I had no Zangors.
Was it 25?
Yeah, it was 25.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I'm just saying you can do it without Zangors. Now, do I want to? Hell no, because I fucking love Zangors. But I'm just saying you can do it without them. But
you don't need them. You don't need them, but they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, they are.
It's Zanglorious. I love it.
It is Zanglorious.
Zanglorious.
But I do think that I wanted to try the Cultists, and I was actually with only 10-man squads, 2 10-man squads, because all I had built. I still think they were effective. I still think they did stuff.
Yeah, I think they did. I mean, that's the one thing I don't have for my army. I don't have a Helldrake yet. I need to pick one of those up, and I don't have any cultists. I have things I could use as a cultist, but I don't know if I would want to use them. And it just kind of comes down to you like what you like in model, like as far as the models and in your armies, and there's nothing that really jumps out at me. Because I had some from the old Dark Vengeance box set. And I'm like, yeah, they're okay, but I mean, I could have these in my army, but I don't really know if I want to.
Victoria Miniatures actually came out with a beast man, basically. It's like a kind of a goatee kind of guy. Yeah. And I bought them from her, and I'm going to use them as my cultists in my Thousand Sons because I thought they would fit with the Zangors very well.
It'll be Zanglorious.
It will be Zanglorious.
Awesome. And then I'm going to be running an event on the 17th here at Pegasus Games.
Goddamn right you are.
So I got the initial blurb up for that. So I'm hoping that we get a few tables going at least. We'll have to see. It's on a weekend where there's another event.
Unfortunately, we couldn't move
it. The dates were set, and that is what it is. But it's going to be a narrative event, and I'm actually running it through what's happening as the Cicatrix Maledictum is tearing into reality, like as we're going into 8th edition. So it's tied in with the campaign that I have to start. I'm a little on campaigns right now, so maybe next week I'll get my brain in a different spot. But it's going to be what's happening there, and then so there's going to be 3 battles throughout the day. Each table is a different world in the galaxy. And then it's going to kind of escalate as the day goes on, as to what's happening as the warp is tearing up around you, and what fun things you can do with that.
I'm pretty excited about it, actually. I'm really excited about it.
Maybe there'll be a boon of mutation thing that happens, and who knows? You never know. Chaos, I'm sure, will be watching. But it's trying to work out where everybody, no matter what army you play, you have a reason to be in there. And even if you don't pick your army based off of like a Black Library book where you have a special character leading it, or if they don't have a named character, then you can still kind of create somebody and just give them a name. And basically, what were you doing as 8th edition was kind of birthed in. Is the Gathering Storm's happening, and 8th edition's being ushered in. What is this army doing at that time? So that's the general idea of it, and it should be a lot of fun.
And you're doing battle points instead of actual.
Oh yeah, so we're doing battle points. Yeah. So it looked like it was 100 battle points. I tried to go on and figure out what the conversions are, and there's a bunch of old articles from before 8th was like actually released that were talking about that, and then so I had to go listen to some previous shows where people had talked about how it lines up, and it seemed like 100 was pretty close.
It'll be fun. It'll be something different. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it, so we'll let you know more about that as it happens.
Yeah.
I don't know if we really have time to talk about the sportsman thing. We've been saving that as a topic.
We'll do that next time because I think we're at. Yeah, I think we should wait on it.
So, but okay, last thing before we play the interview then. And just below, by the way, so for the interview, in the show notes below is the contact as always for Ian. But we have a past episode that we've done, a past interview that's linked in there. And so there's some listener questions that we tried to weave everything in with Lucius going into... Shawn's writing me something.
Giveaway.
Oh, yeah, thank you. So we tried to weave some of those in, but some of those and I think we're kind of answered, but for more in-depth, you can go actually listen to the episode about Lucius, where he talks more about getting into the mind of this guy. So if you haven't heard that one and you want more, you can go click on that show below. On the 3rd, because I said it was going to be the 3rd, so our first of our Black Library giveaways. So
Yay!
Let me open it up, actually. I'm trying to get the story. I'm not sure if I can get the story on the iPhone in time. But we asked everybody to send in a submission, and for January 1, it was give us your favorite moment that is either Fulgrim and or Fabius, and we had pointed towards the cool books that Josh Reynolds has written, but it could be from the lore, it could be something that happened on the table, whatever it's going to be. And we had some entries, and Nolan Miller actually won the Black Library calendar. So, yay! So please get in touch with us. Send us a message via Facebook or whatever you need to do, and give us, say that you are you, and then give us an address, and we'll get that in the mail to you. But there's a new Black Library calendar still in the plastic, and it is very nice.
It's an awesome calendar.
It is really awesome, yeah. And we already have... Of the February prizes that we're collecting, we have one already, and the other one I'm going to wait on. But one of the prizes we have coming up in February is the Black Library. It's the 2017-2018 Black Library anthology that they have at like events. I think it first came out the weekend or back in November. Since we haven't been able to have C.L. Warner on the show recently because of just some issues that happen, when he is able and has the time to do it, then we're going to actually do the discussion we wanted to have about the Overlords of the Iron Dragon the Caradron Overlords novel for AOS. But in the meantime, he has one of those short stories in there, and a few other ones. I think there's like 6 stories or something in the anthology. So he signed the one there. So that'll be for Caradron Overlords or AOS people. So that is one of the the giveaways for February, and we're going to continue to do everything throughout the year. Every month we're going to have at least one item that we're giving away for Black Library as they celebrate. So yeah, 20 years. So pretty awesome. I just want to do this real quick because this cracks me up. So I finished listening to Age of Darkness. It's a podcast. It's a heresy show. If you haven't heard of them, they're up in Canada, and they're a lot of fun. And they do. I've been on their show a few times, and sometimes do these long stretches where they go through, and they'll go through I like is that they go through some books, and sometimes if it's a series they did like 1,000 Suns and Prospero Burns together and talked about that. And then at the time also the book that was coming out, the Big Black Book from Heresy. So they went through over multiple episodes of those, and then they do sometimes at the end of these a call-in show. And I did not call in. I don't know why. I missed it, but I meant to, and I was listening to the callback show, and those are always a lot of fun. And at the end, as you respond, JP sometimes will have this fun question, and I think during the Betrayer one, it was like, who won the Night of the Wolf? Was it Angron or was it Russ? And the one for Prospero has something to do with, I think you can boil it down to was Magnus wrong or right, which everyone knows, of course, Magnus didn't
Magnus
wrong, right?
Not,
so
yeah,
I mean that's silly, but I really like the one they had this week, and so I'm going to copy it. But it's also really kind of a side way to just move over to give them a nice nod because it's a fun show. But it was finalizing the end of the Imperium Secundus arc and Angels of Caliban, and so JP threw the question out, which is this, a very well-reasoned argument. Would you fuck, marry, kill? So of the Imperial Triumvirate, so it's Guilliman, Sanguinius, and the Lion. So
I gotta answer that.
You have to answer that. That's why I told you I don't want you to think about it too much because I want you to just.
Oh man,
what do your instincts tell you?
That I have to fuck, marry, or kill.
Yes, you have to pick one. You have to fuck one, marry one, and kill one.
Oh man, I'm going to preface this by saying I would rather not fuck any of them. But if I had to pick, I guess I would say that I would. I would have to say that I would fuck the Lion, even though he's a pompous prick. I guess I'd make him take it doggy style and maybe rein him in a little bit, and knock him down a few notches. Take that, Lion. Yeah, that's right, boy. As far as Mary, I'd have to say Gilliman because at least he'd hopefully help me with the finances and make the household.
That's what a lot of people want to do. Yeah.
Keep the children in line. Stuff like that. Theoretical, as far as kill or murder, kill. It definitely has to be Sanguinius because I'm sorry, there's probably a lot of people, I can't stand Sanguinius, little pretty boy, and I don't like the Blood Angels, I hate vampires, so, fuck Sanguinius. I wouldn't fuck him, but I'm saying dead.
Fuck that guy.
And he really is dead. And he's not coming back, boys, sorry. But yeah, that'd have to be my answer.
Be creative. I mean, I kind of, I don't say break the rules. I thought as my answer, I'm like, well, you know what? I'm going to kind of tie some of these together and just create options. So I think I would fuck Sanguinius because who doesn't like to fuck a blonde, right? Yeah, in general, doesn't matter.
I mean, that's not my yeah, sure, but I'm not. That's my personal preference.
Right? So fuck. I mean, well, to fuck genetic superhumans that don't exist.
Yeah. What's wrong with you?
And then I would probably, I would marry Gilliman, just pretty much. But that would be setting up for like the will and the inheritance essentially, and then I would kill the Lion. But before I would do that, I think I would actually kill the Lion by having a threesome with Gilliman and the Lion together because I think that would be the ultimate grudge fuck, like the most hateful sex ever. And then the Lion could kill Gilliman, or I think they could kill each other actually because then I'd get my inheritance and so I'd be happy.
Wait, you brought Gilliman into this. I thought it was Sanguinius and the Lion fucking.
Right, so I'm kind of
now it's Gilliman.
Now I'm kind of expanding things, right?
Well, then it's a foursome because you're in there too.
No, Gilliman. So Sanguinius off to the side. That's a solo fuck thing, right? So I'm taking marry and kill, and I'm still doing those, but then I'm actually bridging something together, and I'm adding.
So when is this? Else. When is each one of these happening? Because
I don't have a timeline.
Because if you say, let's say the fuck one is first, those superhumans are crushing your pelvis the first time that there's any kind of like.
People on the show kept saying like they fuck Sanguinius or they don't want to fuck Sanguinius because they would just be crying the whole time. Like, aw.
I would not be.
Wrap his pinions around you. But yeah, I think I would. So I would fuck Sanguinius first. I would want the marriage between myself and Gilliman needs to exist for a little bit, so I could get the inheritance and get everything I need there. So, so I would hold off. I guess so. Then I would marry him, and then we'd have the ultimate grudge fuck between him and Gilliman, and then I could be in there as well because I guess I have to be there in the fuck. So it's a 3-way.
But you're doing another fuck. It's called fuck, marry, and kill. You're changing the rules.
Yeah, I'm doing this to each one of these, but I'm including another one in there.
That's not fair.
What? You have to be creative.
You can't change the rules.
I mean, you could still kill the lion and fuck his corpse. I mean, it's doable.
Yeah, see, it's Sanguinius for me. He's too fucking pretty. It's like, I'm the perfect little poster boy.
Just think about like visions of his death while you're doing him. He's like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. Like, yeah, you are gonna die.
Yeah, it's happening right now, baby.
Here's the talon horse, man. Let me slide it.
I'll show you the talon horse.
All right. Well, with that terrible, disturbing segue here, let's move from that into another disturbing topic, and that's Conrad Kurz. So,
we're done with Kurz
as well, yeah. So,
well,
we're gonna then bid you adieu and see you next week, and we're gonna bring on Ian St. Martin now for his interview. So, we have a lot of stuff coming up. We have David Annandale interview, which is one that we can play. It's a shorter one, like 15 minutes, so we could probably do that one next week and work it in.
This is
if not, the week afterwards. Yeah, this is one. Yeah, this is. This was you were on the show, but it had to be done at a certain time where you were working, and I had the luxury of not working for that hour. So yay!
What a loser!
All right, so enjoy the Ian St. Martin, and we'll see you all next week.
Yeah, take care, guys.
All right.
I just want to be loved.
This is Aaron Depsky-Bowden, and here's my contractually obligated plug for Combat Phase.
Hey everybody, we had a little bit of an echo that didn't show up during recording, but it's here during playback, and it's not that bad, so we're going to play it for you and have it fixed for you next week. So sorry about that, and enjoy the interview.
All right, so welcome back to Combat Phase, and it is 2018. It is a big black library year, and Ian St. Martin from the merry old USA is joining us. So welcome to the show.
Yes, welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming back on. Sean's here now. This is your first author interview.
It is. I'm a little. Are
you starstruck?
I'm a little fanboy right now, so I'm not gonna lie. Sorry, I'm like, I'm actually talking to the author. Sorry, I'm sure a lot of people geek out like that. So
yeah.
We've all been.
Well, we got the selfie picture of him on the screen too, so
Yeah, he's staring at me. He's looking at me though. He's not looking at
you. That's right. I guess yeah. You are sitting on that side of the table.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to talk to you about some of the works that you have done recently, and then some stuff coming up, and we have some listener questions as well. So we're going to work all that in. So let's just jump right in, and then the most recent work we had from you was with the Advent, and it was in the Primarch series, A Lesson in Darkness about Conrad Kurz. So you want to talk to us about what this story is? As usual, we're not going to do any big spoilers. These were great just to kind of whet appetites during the Advent calendar season, because you get these, I think like 20, 21-minute long audios, but it gives you such a taste, and it is fulfilling, and it just makes you like, all right, I want the book to come out now. So do you want to talk to us about what the story is in that audio drama?
Yeah, and I think kind of when the story was commissioned and things like that, that was one of the things that they wanted me to focus on, where they kind of gave me a choice, pick a Primarch that you want to write about, but they kind of emphasized that they wanted ones that hadn't had a book in the series come out yet, like Leman Russ or Magnus or something like that, because if you're waiting on a particular character like Sanguinius, Mortarion, or Horus, or somebody that hasn't come out yet, you got something to kind of chew on while you're waiting. So that was fine by me, because the idea that I had, first of all, was Kurz. Basically, what A Lesson in Darkness is I wanted to do just kind of a quick little story about the first compliance that the Night Lords do and undertake after Kurz takes command of the Legion, and basically to show how the Night Lords kind of learn about how their father views things, and basically, here I am, I'm running the show now, this is how we're going to be doing things, so hop on board and kind of show the beginnings of that kind of descent that the Night Lord's Legion, inevitably makes over the course of, the heresy and onward into 40K and things like that.
Now, one of the things that comes up later in Heresy, which would be books that were written before this, several years ago, that I always found kind of interesting is the question of, I think it's a Savitar that asks Kurz, and it might be somebody else as well, it was like, why do you hate us? And there's some interesting development in like Prince of Crows, I think, with that one especially. So it was interesting to see in this book, or in this audio drama, an earlier stage. What were you thinking about Kurz as at that point? Because he's already been through his really shitty upbringing on Nostromo and did some really terrible things. So I think it was a good idea to pick a Crusade story before things got to where we know them to be later on. But I can also kind of get to feel like this is where you're in a room, you think you know somebody, and you're starting to realize the reality, like the gravity of the situation that you're in.
Yeah, I think a fun thing to kind of explore in this story was expectations versus reality. Because, at this point, the Primarchs are still being discovered, so there's still legions that don't have their Primarchs yet. And I know when you kind of will read the source material, like you read the Forge World books and things like that, you can kind of see the basic kind of idea, like the World Eaters are kind of World Eaters-y before Angron shows up. The Night Lords use fear, kind of things like that, and then, once their Primarch arrives, it kind of hits and drives that into overdrive kind of thing. So, but something that kind of is fun to play around with is the idea of the kind of legions that haven't gotten their Primarchs back yet, just kind of sitting around and being like, what's he going to be like? Is he going to be like this Primarch? Is he going to be like that Primarch? Is he going to be completely different? Where they kind of paint a picture in their own heads about who their father's going to be. And then when they're presented with the reality, whether that goes along with what they were expecting or whether it contradicts it, and kind of those contradictions or those correspondences are what kind of give birth to interesting potential from a storytelling perspective.
I was just picturing it like, oh, I can't wait to meet Father. He's going to be excellent. Oh, well, I guess he'll do.
Ian, I just had a question. As far as your subject for the I guess audio
drama.
Yeah, audio drama. Was it hard writing about it? Because to me, like, I would think that Primarch would be very hard to write about because he seems kind of like a homicidal maniac. And so it's like, since you're not a homicidal maniac, like, how do you kind of get in their brain and kind of write from their perspective?
I don't know what it says about me, but I find it much easier to write about those sorts of characters than I do to write about, like, exemplary, honor. Like, I would have a lot more trouble writing about, like, a paragon of justice than I would like a broken, kind of twisted thing. Because that's kind of where my
perfect transition for Lucius, right?
I at least, from a personal perspective, I have fairly significant mental illness that I kind of deal with, medically and things like that, so that it's, it's survivable and, I'm able to have a productive life and everything like that. But, you have certain worldviews and certain kind of ways that you look at things that you can't help but see through your own perspective. And so just for whatever reason, broken characters that are more complicated mentally and things like that were always a lot more of a comfortable subject for me than someone who, like Superman. I would have a hard time writing Superman because his basic thing is that he has this godlike power, but he's always going to do the right thing with it. And so that lack of, an edge or a drawback or a kind of things like that. And I'm sure there are that just other authors are able to find a lot more easily than I would per se. Makes it more difficult for me to inhabit that character, whereas someone like Kurz, I can see how they view the world in a certain way. Even if I can't necessarily agree with it or relate to it, I can understand it. And that's the key to character for me, is writing something that even it's like, oh, that's repellent and I would never do anything like that. But from his perspective, I can understand why he gets up in the morning and does that. I can understand why it makes sense to him and why in his mind he's the hero of that story. Because no one's getting up in the morning, great, today I get to be the obstacle that the hero overcomes. No one thinks like that. They think, you have kind of your mustache twirler kind of villains that are like, I'm evil just to be evil, so I'm going to take over the world. Or you can have someone say, I have to take over the world to save it from itself. Those are two very different things, and the latter is much more compelling to me.
A lot more interesting.
Because even if it's a horrible act and something, you can understand why, from their perspective, it makes sense.
I think it's worth saying here, too, to our fans of the heresy, because this has come up recently in some shows and even on some forums. There are a lot of I think it's a common post to see with Kurz, like, oh, Kurz has been in so many of the books, and I think he has the most Primarch fights in the main series of novels. But this isn't another look at Kurz. This is something different from that main line of books, and I think it's definitely worth it. If you haven't checked it out, and you're someone like, oh, more of Kurz, or he's going to get in a Primarch fight. I mean, this is something different. You're going to get something you haven't seen in those before. So I think that is a big appeal to people as well that may not know about this audio or maybe haven't tried it out yet.
Yeah, I thought that was very enjoyable.
Well, yeah, I think that was incredibly important to me, because if I'm writing something that's been done before, what's the point? The whole point of writing a new story is to show you things you haven't seen before. And I get it that 40K, has its kind of base elements that people really, it appeals to them, and so you want to kind of check boxes and things like that, like have the grand sweeping battles and have the kind of cool demon stuff and have those kinds of things, but you don't want to get to the point where you're just kind of regurgitating things. And I think especially coming from the fact that the majority of that Kurz stuff and Night Lord stuff in general is Aaron's work, who's very well respected and, just prints bestsellers. You definitely want to take a hard look at that and put yourself in a place where you're not writing Kurz fan fiction, like ADB Kurz fan fiction. I think that was so desperate. I'm going to throw in all these characters from the books. I didn't want to do that. I desperately wanted to avoid doing that, because my Kurz is different than Aaron's Kurz, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Because if we're all writing the same, then there's no flavor to it. This is my voice and my interpretation of the character, because they don't belong to us. Being able to do a story about some, a kind of a faction and a character that's so beloved and has been done so well by such a talented writer like Aaron is you get a chance to show different things. It doesn't detract from anything. You're just adding more layers and more cool stuff for people to enjoy.
Did you have any input on the artwork, by the way? I know this question gets asked a lot, and in our Lucius interview, I'll drop a link in the show notes, by the way, of our past interview we did, so people can go listen to the past episodes. Because I know we talked about that with Lucius when that came out, but the artwork that's on this audio drama, did you have any input on that? Or any
so I think it varies project by project. Sometimes, depending on the size of the thing, like a short story, they're much more likely to make a simple cover or a file image that they have. If it's a novel, they're obviously going to go out and commission artwork, so you have a little bit more input in terms of, as you're writing the book, while they're commissioning the writing, to say, okay, it's going to be about this scene and things like that. And you kind of go back and forth with editorial about what they think would be the best kind of attention-grabbing cover and things like that. With the Kurz audio, I didn't have any input because, again, it's a smaller thing. It's in the Advent. They're dealing with putting covers on a bunch of things. I think if you looked at the Perturabo audio in the Primarch series, it was, I think, taken from the cover of the Perturabo Primarch book and just rendered in grayscale with yellow and things like that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So I don't know if I don't have any idea if the Kurz cover is going to be similar to the Kurz book when that eventually comes out, whenever it comes out. But yeah, I didn't have any input in terms of this cover, but I think they did a great job. It's a great piece of artwork.
Yeah, it looks good.
It doesn't have yellow glowing eyes. I mean, it's a smaller picture when you look at the when you get it on your, like I have it on the Black Library audio app.
Mm-hmm.
So that, the trademark yellow eyes of the Primarch series that some people don't like, maybe that's going away. Or would Kurz even have that?
Yeah, I'm not sure, because I think it's a question of, I don't know whether they've commissioned all of them, because I know that they're all from the same artist, at least so far, like the covers have been. So they may be all of that kind of unifying theme, so it binds them as a series. But that's me speculating. I have no visibility on that conversation, so I wouldn't be able to definitively say yes or no.
No problem.
So we have a question from John Jordan. If you were doing the Primarch book for Kurz, what would we expect from it in terms of your take on the character, and how would it differentiate from previous iterations of him in other Night Lord characters?
Yeah, so this question just it blows me away, just based on the fact that people think that I'm qualified to write the Kurz book. It's really flattering and baffling, because I would never presume to be the one that would be chosen to write that book. I think we all know who's probably going to write that book and who probably should write that book. But yeah, no, I think in terms of kind of my, it's just kind of empty speculation, because I'm probably, but I think it would just be what's an interesting story about this character that fits in a 50,000 word thing, rather than a 3,000 word or 90,000 word kind of project. So it's all about finding that story, and really, when it comes down to it, it's just you research a character and you look at them and you let your mind ask questions. And based on those questions, if you find one that really resonates with you, like, that's a really cool thing, I don't know the answer to that. What if we answered it? What if we explored that? I think that's kind of how I would go about it. But yeah, I don't have any conversations about anything further with Kurz at the moment. With regard to the series in general, I can't say.
Well, so we know that they had a final meeting and mapped out stuff this past weekend for the actual main line of the heresy. So that's exciting news. But the Primarch series is another channel itself to tell more stories that I'm sure will go on beyond the end of the Siege of Terra. And there are stories that can be from the Primarch series that are in addition to the Primarch's novel themselves. So given that, and the ones we know are already out, and even the ones that are already out, I guess we could do this too. Mark wanted to know if there are other Primarchs that you'd like to have a go at.
I can't say.
Bum, bum, bum.
Somebody's in the lodge. Okay, I can't say.
Yeah, it felt appropriate. Appropriately frustrating.
Right, well,
See, that kind of answers the question anyway. So.
Take that, Mark. Well, so speaking of people that are screwed up in the head, I guess let's go over to Lucius for a little bit here, because we had some questions about this. So this is just out in paperback. I think it was last weekend it came out in paperback. So
very recently, yeah.
Yeah, if you're one of the people that likes to wait or catch on later and
is
do
that the Primarch one then? That's the paperback that just came out? Or
no, Lucius.
So
the Faultless Blade.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
So I mean, I tend to get them in hardback when they come out, but sometimes they come out they'll come out in paperbacks like 3 to 6 months later. They usually come out in paperback.
Yeah, it's about 6 months or so.
Because last year, so the Advent Calendar of 2016, you had the audio drama too, and then we talked about that in our 2017 show when we talked about Lucius, which again, I'll throw the link to that show down below. But do you want to just, for people that are not familiar with that, do you want to just tell people what's going on with the Lucius book?
Yeah, Faultless Blade is the first in hopefully a short series of Lucius the Eternal books that kind of give him center stage in the 40k timeline. Faultless Blade basically kind of establishes Lucius as the main character, and kind of builds up the group of characters around him, and kind of puts him in terminal situation, or at least provides him, with the first inklings that he has a situation that he hasn't dealt with before. And when it comes to Lucius the Eternal, who's someone who can't, fundamentally can't die, presenting him with something that is worse than death. So that's basically kind of the main thrust of it. And there are, alien gladiatorial circuses and symphony sorcerers and little girls running a ship that have demons inside of them and all kinds of fun stuff. So I also got to kind of work in humor a little bit more than I normally get to do when writing 40K, which is fun. So that's kind of the long and short of the book. So and it has just, and frankly, the greatest cover that's ever been on a Black Library book ever on it.
I really like the cover, yeah.
It is a cool cover.
You want to talk about Lucius a little bit?
Yeah, it looks like, is it Alex
Lannister pays his debts.
He does. He always pays his debts. He was asking how you went about tackling the iconic character of Lucius in your stories.
Sure. I think it's, again, kind of as I was talking about with the Primarch thing. You research a character, and I think what attracted me to him, on a more kind of cynical level, was just the fact that there wasn't a whole lot about him in the 40K timeline. He's in the Heresy, and Graham kind of writes him in the Heresy and things like that. But in terms of 40K, there's not a whole lot about him in that timeline. So that kind of gives you a lot more flexibility from a storytelling perspective. You don't have to worry about, well, this conflicts with that book that guy wrote and things like that. Like if I wanted to write an Armon book, obviously there's a ton of stuff that I have to reference, and make sure that it's consistent with to keep up that connective tissue. But with someone like Lucius, you have a lot more control. And so you can kind of really decide what kind of story you want to tell and not necessarily have to work in the shadow of other people's awesome stuff. And so doing that research kind of 40K Lucius and things like that, and basically just kind of the character in general, again, you ask yourself questions. And if you look at most dramatic things, whether it's writing, film, stage plays, things like that, usually death is the biggest risk for a character. It's, even it's 60s Batman being lowered into a pit of acid or whatever. It's the idea that a character is being threatened with death is this gigantic risk, and this, really fundamental risk, where with Lucius the Eternal, you don't really have that because of his kind of dynamic. If somebody kills him and takes pride in the act of killing him, then through the gifts that have been bestowed upon him by Slanesh, he resurrects through that person, and that person gets, sucked down into just another face on his armor of wailing kind of souls and faces. And so when you look at that and you say, okay, well, death isn't really the, kind of the risk that it is for other characters. What is? And that was the question that asked me, like, what is he afraid of? What are the stakes for him? Cool. When you have a character that can't die, what scares him? And so you kind of have to come up with something like, to answer that question. And so that's kind of the kind of overarching story that I'm kind of looking to do with Lucius.
Cool. Yeah, I actually always wanted, I know that 40K, Games Workshop probably will never do an end times, but I always thought it'd be cool to see Prince Uriel battle with Lucius and kill him with the spear of Twilight and go, oh, hey, I'm going to become you, Uriel. And he's like, yeah, but my soul's getting eaten by the spear of Twilight, so, suck it. You're going to die. It'd be a kind of a way to end him, I think. But anyway, that was just my thoughts.
Well, that's kind of funny because it kind of makes me think of Lucius' story that I wrote last year called Pride and Fall, where I basically kind of wrote it for internet forums, because if you go online and you go look up Lucius in kind of any of the 40k forums, it's always like, what if he gets eaten by a Tyrannid, or what if it's something that's so like a servitor? What happens if he gets killed in an artillery barrage?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a story that basically, and spoilers for a story that came out a year ago, so spoiler. Basically, he steps on a landmine, and there's a guy half the galaxy away, a salt of the earth guy, has a wife and kids, working in a factory, makes a tiny little component of that landmine in a factory of thousands and thousands that come by on this conveyor belt. And the simple fact that he takes pride in his work is all that's needed.
Wow.
Lucius resurrects through this guy.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Kind of wanted just to kind of put forward the point that, even if he's killed by a servitor, there's probably a tech priest who built him or modified him and takes pride in the fact that he built him as honor to the machine god, and that's all it takes. Slaanesh is maybe a little bit smarter than people give it credit for. There are, even if it has to take a winding, circuitous route, they're not just going to let Lucius go if they gave him these gifts. So it's kind of a fun story to play with, and I got to do lots of fun body horror with it, which makes it a fun story. So definitely check that one out.
Yeah, well, I will.
Awesome. So as far as just in general with other story, before we talk about what's coming up, some listeners have asked you about if there are other factions or parts of the backgrounds that you would like to tackle with 40k now with the narrative moving forward. There's a lot of options as well. They don't have to be tied to that, but they can just be in the new setting. Are there stories you'd like to tell?
Yeah, there's always tons of stuff. There's one that kind of sticks in my mind as something that I've always wanted to write. It's from, I think I found it like in either Chaos Space Marine Codex or something. But it's called The War of the Broken Wings. And it was, I think the Angels Sanguine were their home planet, their fortress monster is being invaded by kind of a Night Lords and their allies kind of thing. And in order to turn the tide of the invasion, I guess they basically unleashed their entire death company kind of reserves and what's like hundreds of years of accumulated death company, and just let all of them loose at once kind of thing. And I thought that would be kind of a fun story to tell. I kind of had this, as I was reading kind of a little blurb in a codex, I thought, wouldn't it be a cool thing if you write it from the perspective of a Angel Sanguine chaplain whose job is to condemn his brothers to the death company, and he's this young chaplain. The first person that he has to condemn is his tutor.
Oh,
that
would be cool.
He has to deal with this new invasion and all the other kind of stuff, and I thought that would be kind of a fun story to tell. But I'd love to do like some guard stuff. I wrote a little bit of guard stuff when I was at Citadel, when I was in-house for GW, and it just was super refreshing to be able to write about people that could be scared and could piss their pants and could act, irrationally in ways that Space Marines don't. So that's always fun. But yeah, there's tons of stuff. That's kind of one of the fun things about the IP is there's always, nooks and crannies and fun things to write about.
This would probably be a good opportunity, too, a lot of authors are giving advice on the webpage. There's a Black Library open submission window. It's open into April, and there are a lot of changes this year, really, I guess, because they have, I think it's 6 different scenarios that you can kind of cross between those if you like, too. And there were some authors that are on web pages giving their advice. Some were on TV. And, didn't you do something with Death Watch a while ago?
Yeah, that's basically, I got into Games Workshop through submission windows. That's how I got in once to get to freelance write for Black Library, and then through kind of a writing test to do my Citadel work in-house. So I've got some experience with dealing kind of with those structures. And what I would basically say is what you want to do is not think of it necessarily as just storytelling and just a narrative push and just a piece of artwork that you're writing. It's also a job interview. So you want to convey in no uncertain terms to the editor that's reading it that you know what they're looking for and you give it to them on a deadline that they establish. If the guidelines are about X and not Y, don't give them Y. Give them X. Give them what they're asking for. This isn't necessarily about the most off-the-wall crazy thing. Like, I want to write all about a bolt shell that's falling, after it's ejected from the bolter, and the entire story is from the point of view of that bolt shell. It's fine. And it's like, it's artistic and it's interesting, but it's not what they're asking for. You want to convey to them that if they tell you, we need a story about X, you deliver a story about X. So really what you're showing them is that I can work to a stricture, I can work to the constraints of an IP, I can work to a deadline, and I can deliver exciting storytelling and cool characters and fun set pieces and things like that. And I'm not sure what the length that they're asking for. I don't know the guidelines for this one. I'm sorry.
500 words, I think. Yeah. And then you have to give a paragraph about your characters and what the story is about.
Yeah, so you want to, you want to have, an interesting thing. You don't necessarily want to have, if it's a short little burst of things, then you want to convey in that efficient thing, your style and your voice and everything like that within the guidelines that they're establishing. And in terms of characters, you want to have believable, understandable characters where you may not agree with them and you may not relate to them, but you understand why they're doing what they're doing. And it makes sense. Because the last thing that they want is this character is doing what they're doing because he's in a book and the plot dictates that he's doing that. You don't want that because that's not relatable, because it's not real. You want this person is doing this because this happened to him and because this is how he views the world and this is how the world views him. That's what you want to convey. So that's kind of the advice that I would give is really to remember that this is a submission. They're going to be reading thousands of these or however many they get, and what's going to stick out to them is people that are like doing, this is exactly what we asked for. So really make sure that you pay very close attention to the guidelines in addition to delivering on a cool story. Awesome. That's kind of the advice I would give.
Cool. Well, wish everybody luck with that. And then so to follow stuff that you have coming up, where is the best place for our listeners to go to keep up with what you're doing?
Yeah, you can follow me on social media. I've got a Facebook page, Ian St. Martin, and I've got Twitter, which is Ian Runs His Pen, at Ian Runs His Pen. And that's probably the best place to get in touch with me. I really encourage communication on my social media, so if you have questions, want to talk to me about something, I always make a really strong effort to communicate with you guys. And I don't post a lot, but I don't post a lot of bullshit. If you go and join me on social media, I'll have a stupid joke about something, but most of it's going to be about my work. It's not one of these things where you see a brilliant creative person, you follow them thinking they're going to talk about the thing that you wanted to talk about, and all they talk about is politics or the weather or sports. You're not really going to get that from me. It's mostly going to be about my work.
No pictures of cats hanging in there for me.
There may be pictures of cats. I have a glorious, I have a glorious cat, so I can't guarantee there's not going to be shots of a glorious cat. So
we know that you have stuff coming up, so folks can go and follow you there. I think a little bit, though, just as we're closing up here, I think we talked right beforehand that there's something that we can say over to. So there was something at the Black Library Weekender that was announced, and then was there something that was recently announced at the Heresy Necromunda Weekender this past week? Yeah,
I think that in each of those events there was a project of mine that was discussed. The Black Library Weekender in November believe one of my projects called Taker of Heads was announced. I don't know if any additional information was given about it. And I think at the Heresy Weekender, a upcoming novel of mine, which is called Of Honor and Iron. I believe that's the title. It's been tweaked since I've been working on it. Was announced, and that's coming out at some point. I don't have release dates. They haven't told me that. But they're done. Both of those projects are done. They've both been through rewrites and revisions and everything like that. So they're off in the hands of much more capable people to make them look half decent before they're unleashed on the masses.
Awesome. And they're both 40K books, or is the second one for Necromunda?
None of it. It's all 40K. Like, I've really been 40K focused in terms of my work for BL, other than the Primarch's stuff. So in terms of like AOS or Necromunda or Blood Bowl or any of that stuff, I haven't touched it. Mostly just because it's a kind of a lack of familiarity with it, where you really want the people that are writing that stuff to be the people that are knee deep in it. And in order for me to do that, I would more than happily do that. I would just need the time to get knee deep in it and get really comfortable with it to the point where stories start coming out of it to me that I would want to tell.
Awesome. All right, well, thanks for coming on. So check out below in the show notes. We'll have an episode that we had with you in 2017, as well as links to your Facebook and your Twitter. And then, so yeah, you can go on blacklibrary.com anytime and just type in your name and see what's going on. There was a Death Watch omnibus that was put out also near the end of 2017, and we have stuff coming forward, so check it out.
Yeah, that Death Watch omnibus also has my Death Watch novel, which I don't believe is going to be released on its own in paperback. It came out in hardback, I think in August of 16, I think, is when it came out. But it's not going to see a solo paperback release, to the best of my knowledge. The best way to get it in a paperback format is going to be in that omnibus.
Excellent. All right, sir. Well, thank you very much, and we will talk to you again soon.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, let's do it.
Welcome to Combat Phase.
Episode 231.
We gotta start over again because I snorted there. You laughed. I was doing it, and then I snorted, then I screwed it up too. But I'm gonna say that it was your fault first. So just so I can sleep through the day.
That's fine. I edited the shit, so you know.
Oh man,
it don't sound like
that seems a little fair. Then it's just gonna sound like my fault.
Yeah, that's how it works.
That's unfair. It's unfair.
Would you like to welcome our listeners to our episode?
I would.
Goodbye, you sexy motherfucker.